Hi, I'm Chris McKenna.
Hi, Jim Rash.
Dan Harmon.
Joel McHale.
Best episode ever.
Yeah.
That was actually a crew person was pushing the paper up underneath.
Really?
It wasn't actually printing.
I don't even want to watch the rest of the episode now.
Yeah, I'm
ruined it.
sorry
Ruined it.
to kill that. And everyone's like, well, click.
Chris, was it you saying that you saw this episode on a plane and they wouldn't show the car blowing up?
Well, they did the first two, and then the third ridiculous, like
bangs.
the actual punchline to it, the slow mo firecracker going off. They cut that because that would have disturbed people at 35,000 feet.
Yeah.
So there's a couple odd things about this episode. It's weird because it stands out as like just a beautiful piece of complete storytelling, filmmaking, and yet there's some glaring pieces of evidence that this thing was produced hand to mouth, meaning we were way behind schedule and we were once again sending pages down to the set. And in this case, really more egregiously than ever because we literally did not know the third act while they were shooting the second
We exploded it.
The pitch for this episode was McKenna pitching this entire first act, basically. That was always the pitch for the episode because it's an episode about plot twists. So the pitch was this happens, that what you're watching right now, and then they go to that room, and Garrity shows up and he walks away and Jeff says, I've never seen that guy before in my life. And that's the pitch. But part of the pitch isn't then here's what happens. We had to then try to keep, and we were racking our brains. So because of that, we kept the brain racking going while they started shooting, and there was just a point. I mean, like for the whole third act, which is all the gunplay, that was written the night before the shoot, so like 6 hours before cameras were rolling.
So it wasn't sent down to set. It was I was with you. We wrote it all night long, and then I walked it down to set.
Right.
Oh, wow.
But this actually, it started off. I think Gann started off the idea. She had an idea about Jeff taking conspiracy theories class, but it's clearly a nonsense class, so he can get away with it. And then I think I piggyback on that. I'm like, yeah, but then the real professor shows up, so it was. It was intriguing, yet we had no idea where to go with it.
Yeah, wasn't the first walking in and finding out this world of night school?
There was an actual conspiracy that you uncover that we had to then plot out, and it just didn't feel right. It felt underwhelming.
Because even though we wanted to do like what's the Greendale low grade conspiracy, it was still a conspiracy of lazy teachers who had concocted a fake night school.
And so I came up at some point. I said, okay, what if this episode is a tribute to twists? And what if the episode itself is like a fireworks display and you start a rhythm of twists and the frequency of twists per minute increases parabolically as the episode continues. And so that's why you need that third act where it's like, the distance between finding out you don't know what's going on keeps decreasing until everything just sort of falls apart. Until
the dean loses his mind.
Yeah, right. and the dean becomes us. But the epiphany was, this episode's not about anything. It's not about, there is no grounded element to it. There is no story. It is an empty exercise in style.
But
But
in a good way. But also, it's like...
in a great way.
But like, it was us building a sandcastle and just having so much fun by the end of building this crazy, crazy sandcastle, which within the episode is a sandcastle...
of blanket fort.
Oh, my God. Metaphor at
this
hand.
was miraculously seemed like an easy scene to shoot. Do you remember this, Joel? And it seemed like it was the longest scene we ever shot in the world. It was as if the closet had created this impossible puzzle and enigma.
I remember editing it was really hard.
Yeah.
Well, because there were so many choices.
Adam Davidson is in here. Adam Davidson, the director of this episode, the guy throws himself like full bent into every episode he does, and this one to the point where people pull out their hair, going, "You're taking forever," but he gets great performances and great shots,
and right now, like Adam's listening to it, going like, "Whew, I will not be speaking to Jim Rash again."
One of the
Sorry, go ahead.
No.
No, okay. No. The introduction of one of the greatest characters, the greatest character we have on the show. Kevin Corrigan, the greatest, amazing actor.
So, because it's our commentary, we get to whine and gripe and pat ourselves on the back. Here's the thing: McKenna suggested Corrigan. We gave his name to NBC Casting, and their response was, "Do you have a reel?"
Well, before that, remember what we suggested him for?
The gardener
The dean.
in the Secret Garden episode.
Which turned out to be great. Anyways, but
How dare you?
serendipity is he wasn't able to do that, and then
then
we were going to actually have Scorsese send over his reel to casting. After
Here's The Departed.
he was in New York, so they weren't willing to fly him out. So McKenna paid to fly him out.
And then he had to stay at his manager's house, right?
Yeah, and then Dan reimbursed me because I don't die for my art like him.
Well,
that was another great thing is I think it was something that I think it was Dan, you and Joel worked out like. The end of this was I had always pictured in my head as Joel going, I don't know, and he's just as caught up in the drama, and I think the really great inverse of that is it's like, oh, of course, Jeff Winger just could give a shit to this guy. Like, I don't know where this mystery came from, but it landed in my lap, and that cracks me up every time. That big shit-eating grin.
You have to think
different
that
versions
this is
of that.
a character that got this far and got into this much trouble because he's almost sociopathic. He lied about being a lawyer. He lied about going to law school. He lied about having a bachelor's degree. So you got to believe that he lands on his feet when opportunities arise. He's a con man. He's got a con man's blood in him. So he could give two shits about that development.
Excited that it.
But we tried both, right? Joel, didn't you?
Yeah,
do
we did.
one
Yeah, we
where
did.
It was
Yeah.
more like you were, I don't know, concerned.
And then here's the introduction of Fat Neil conceptually.
In a joke.
Right.
Just in a joke that then, of course, took on a life of its own.
It's amazing how Fat and Fat Neil. Everyone is the guy, obviously, in the D&D episode, Advanced Dungeons.
That was a joke. I needed a joke there, and I pawned it off to my now wife, Sally Bradford, and she wrote that joke. And it was like Fat Ted. I'm like, wait, what about Neil Goldman? Fat Neil.
Here's a Fat Neil.
This is great. Alison Brie, throughout this season, more than even first season, you see these incredible physical chops, like that are only complicated and frustrated by her inherent sexuality. So you have like Jennifer Aniston on your hands. Like she is like there's nobody that looks like her in the pages of Maxim knows what a double take is. Like she is so comedically talented. She has such a high comedic IQ. She's it's incredible.
And just a shout out to the art department. They put this thing between the blanket fort and like even doing that diorama where
Hold
say,
on. And Allison has great sweaters. Go ahead.
Anyway, they do miracles all the time, and this thing even this thing we don't have time. I'm like, well, it doesn't have to look like anything. It was this crappy diorama, and of course, it looks like an awesome diorama.
It's amazing.
Well, it was
what
so
they
great
pull
because
off.
it's that sat around backstage, back in the in the stages all season. That diorama, like as if it might come back. Don't destroy it.
And it
We
did.
might use it.
Didn't it come back in paintball?
Well, I think
Or
it was
did-
supposed to. I felt like
Who
it
knows?
was.
The other thing
thought
is,
someone
to
was supposed
think
to
that you
die
wrote
on
the
it.
gun scene the night before. I think they just had all the guns ready to go with blanks. Like, oh yeah, we got guns. And then just,
I think they had to go find them, bring them in. I think they have those relationships laying around. They don't have the guns laying around.
what they predict. Yes, but meaning they just predict. Like, oh yeah, here.
Yeah.
I love it. Look at this picture of Corrigan.
Crazy.
It's the little thing. I'm telling you, there's just the devil's in the details of this episode. Little
great.
things like that.
The list of classes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Advanced learning. What was it? One.
Learning with an exclamation point.
Yeah.
And that's how great the fans are too, because I think then the props department, we wrote a lot of them, but then stuff that like ended up on the course list of looking at later, I think props department just grabbed stuff. They made up their own stuff or whatever, and then the fans go, wait a second, that was a real class, like pottery they took in season 1. You go, oh man, you guys are more anal than we are.
Your little friend to stop snooping around night school. Otherwise, things might get
So great. His wife just disguise their voice. They go to
Ridiculous.
this length.
But-
Yeah. It was, I love the idea that you were saying that a firecracker would startle the plane. Oh my!
I'm
That's
sorry,
it.
if viewers
That
who
was the
first
one.
saw this on an airplane, I'm sorry if that gave you a heart attack.
Oh, I am writing to the airline.
Stewardess.
Probably didn't need to tackle you.
This was hard to shoot.
Looks like some.
That was a special effect they put in. That
Yeah, the smoldering,
Smoke.
the red smoldering car.
I hope you've already laid out.
Remember Leonard and Starbirds come
Oh,
in here at the end of
God,
the
yeah.
scene? It was really funny. They come in their pajamas, start stealing cushions.
Leonard and Starbirds come in and steal blankets and
Oh right.
what?
And then the line was like, hey, I was going to sleep on that. It's like, yeah. And I was gonna invest in IBM in 1952. Life's full of disappointments, something like that. It was just like, oh man, Richard.
Yeah, Leonard is the Forrest Gump of.
Oh,
He's
so
Forrest Gump.
He's what, 84? He'll be 85. And like to see him like just hop down, like get on his knee. The physical things we've had to have him do.
Yeah, crawling through a blanket fort.
For those who don't have the first season DVD, Richard Erdman came across our path because he's you asked for, you need an older man that can an elderly man that can swim, that can tread water. And so, I mean, Richard is more physically fit than me, and I almost drowned him.
You did almost drown him.
we almost drowned him.
And I began
beside the pool.
so fun.
Yeah,
You literally, it was so
they had
fun.
someone swimming to hold him up
Yeah.
between takes.
And used the first. But at one point, he had water going into his mouth. He was like, he couldn't.
Boston.
But you can't yell. We need that clean. We need that clean.
This episode, I think the B story we were originally going to do was this Munchausen thing we were kicking around for a while, and then we just pulled that out, and then we were kicking around, what do we do? What do we pair up with this conspiracy thing? And we came up with the blanket fort idea, and it was just a really simple, like, yes. It was just like candy, and then Dan goes, oh, well then, there has to be this chase sequence. There has to dovetail and go through this...
Yeah,
the blanket
like
fort.
French Connection.
Yeah.
Like this whole thing would have been.
Oh my God!
I wrote Trey Parker would have done it. You know, like.
I had this whole thing where it was like headlights and like there were 2 lanes and there were jumps over other people on ramps.
We shot this at 5 in the morning on a Friday.
Yeah, into Saturday.
Or Saturday morning, and our knees were totally. Oof. And Donald had been asleep in his trailer, and he was awoken in like stage 4 sleep. So if you look at, he is totally out of. He doesn't
even know he's not still sleeping.
It's the first time I was like, Donald, are you with it? And he's like, and he was just like, well, this is a great.
He was sick, I think, all that whole week, and he did it.
Like the eyes wide shut moment.
Yeah, and the night this actually aired, I forget, November, it actually was Lithuanian Independence Day. So that's why we came up with the idea of that particular parade.
Come on, get on mic, Chris. You can't. Don't try to do it again. It's too late.
He knows the name of the instrument. Because he had to learn about them to get the permit.
This is that B story you've said a few times, Dan, that you were just you wish that the blanket fort, you thought maybe it was kind of squandered in this. We could have done a whole episode.
Yeah.
Look at the equipment they have at this school.
Like, where did
They just got donated.
Here comes a line that I'm proud to say took 10 writers 6 hours to write. What is the shadows and the lips of a unicorn?
In the shadow of a unicorn's dream.
And I will say the great thing is that joke about the Dean writing a novel, Dean Dangerous, was just a throwaway joke that then became a huge plot point. It became, and when we ripped out the whole third act, this is where Jeff realizes when the rewrite while we were making this, like that purple prose comes from, Time Desk. Oh. And it was just happenstance. We just happened to have that joke about Time Desk.
I feel like someone is trying to teach me something. This part here where he's like, fight Jack the Ripper, or hunt dinosaurs, fight Jack the Ripper.
Yeah. And he's so bummed out having to say it. He's like, he hates it.
It's so great. He performs it so
You've
well.
never looked handsomer, Joel.
Oh.
The character was always supposed to have that stubble, and then we had to shave you to make, because we were always scared in the, making pilots and things. It's like, oh, everyone has to be handsome and clean and going to church, but like you wanted the stubble back at some point, right?
Yeah, I was like, my skin is very sensitive, everyone.
Yeah, some people
shaving every day.
Oh, do you use Kills? What's your art of shaving?
Oh, I do. I have a number of them. I have to rotate them because I need to trick my skin.
No, I'm the same way. I guess I don't shave.
It's an Irish thing. I look better with a little 5 o'clock shadow than I did because we either have. I mean, you guys aren't doughy, but for me, it's like I just look like I look like the Pillsbury Doughboy when I shave, and then 2 days later, I look awesome. I look like George
rugged.
Michael.
Yeah. Sometimes you walk in, I'm like, George Michael's here, everybody. Don't say anything.
I want to launch into faith, by the way.
Also, in retrospect, people were like, why does he give her that long look there? That was for us going, that's where, in retrospect, Jeff figures out that Annie's in on it
Right.
with the dean.
Insane.
Yeah.
And in my mind, it's what is the next line of dialogue I need to say?
Yeah, I was going to say,
You
I don't
just
think
hand it to me?
the actors have no way of knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, they had it.
At this point, right?
No, at this point, I think we were
haven't
still
shot, though.
trying to figure out what the third act was.
Right.
I would just seeing guns like being pulled. Reading this, I was like, this is the greatest show ever. I
Yeah.
get to shoot. I get to shoot people.
I remember.
Mastermind.
I do remember. Yeah, like sort of the
called it
slight
from the house.
panic of getting, because I feel like either they sent it right before we got there or we got there, and I'm like, and then rehearsal because everyone was there, and you know
So
you just
great.
feel the pressure, like you better nail it.
Yeah, you ate it on that though. I thought, Jim.
No, I ruined it.
This is the great Jim Rash.
Without Jim's emotional
I
commitment here,
lost my voice by the end of it, and we had to do pickups. And
and the way you pull out the gun is so. It happens so quick. It's so great.
We shot this for 16 hours, and it was one of those things where sometimes you get options on like line readings and stuff. And I'm like,
fall so horribly. I'm sorry.
sorry.
Is that what you
Go.
really?
That was terrible.
No, I was just gonna say, like, your hysteria, like, for 16 hours, every time you did it made me laugh. And sometimes it's all you're going on. I was like, I'm sorry, like, there's no reason to tone this down at all. It makes me laugh every single time.
That was the Dean's
it
death
reminds me
face.
of Gene Wilder. Like, no matter how frantic he got, you wanted more. Like Gene
Yeah.
Wilder was always great at freaking out.
Yeah.
You probably put a nail in your coffin because now the writers have seen you,
Scream.
you know, in histrionics, and it's just like we just can't.
Right, it's like Donald crying.
Yeah. No, we ended up. Yeah. Got to revisit a little bit later.
Look at Jim.
So happy.
Yeah. I was so happy to
He
be.
insults you, and you
Well,
don't
he wants
even.
to be in on it. He's
Yeah.
so excited to be in on this great ruse.
And you have a whole other thing going on in your brain of this.
Yeah, with this sexy man, like this giant man. That you
No, I mean, he's
you
about to
fantasize
be
about
in-
tucking you in at night.
No, he's got to. But then there's
Oh yeah,
He's
there's
literally
a
like,
whole other conspiracy
like,
that he
wait a
planned.
minute,
Wait,
wait a
I
minute.
forgot about this one.
wait a minute, you guys can't have something too.
Put the gun down.
Now these they had the specialist there who brings these guns because these are heavy.
Real good. They're
Yeah,
real
it
guns.
didn't feel like
Just
oh, we're
with
gonna
that-
put on a play. This is not scary. These things are.
actors have died in accidents with
Yeah.
these things.
Chevy Chase died.
Wait,
This was definitely one of those moments. Like, I was going, we have Joel McHale's chest exploding with blood.
Annie, what have you done? If you love Jeff Winger so much, why did you conspire with me against him? I don't know. I can't keep track of any of it anymore. I just keep...
they wanted to make sure they always saw that bullet hole, so my tie is taped to my shirt at the top, so the bottom only really moves.
Jim, this is where.
Do you even understand what a conspiracy is?
Yeah.
So good.
Every person that approaches you, you're not
One of my favorite
And
lines
when
coming up.
Corrigan gets up.
You're just doing random crap.
I know. I'm sorry.
This is exactly what he's
I just
like.
want to have fun with you guys. And I go crazy, cooped up in my little office. And time travel is really hard to write about.
That was the whole genesis of this.
He's been laying there the whole time.
Just writer's block.
Committed to it. He's like, I know that they've already figured it out, but I'm gonna stay dead.
Police! Drop the weapons!
The return of Craig
Oh, yeah.
Kowski.
Who is so great because he's a screwed
Crazy.
He's too on top of everything. They decided to.
So many.
Now, it's notable that this whole thing apparently resonates a little bit with an Arrested Development thing, which Joe Russo would have alerted us to with enough time. But it's like we roll out this whole third act. It's like people teaching each other lessons, which is it bumps with a little bit with an Arrested Development thing. And Joe watched it, or he looked at the script, and then he showed a clip of what he was talking about in Arrested to Chris. So we pulled out a lion's share of the lesson talk just to
Yeah.
keep it cosmetically from bumping. But I guess it is like it. I still can't remember the thing.
It was the guy, the
the
one-armed
one-armed
man
guy that
who
he-
would teach them lessons. Yeah.
But it's
None of us were thinking of that, honestly. like,
mea
when we
culpa
were-
creatively. It probably is the kind of thing that I would have killed for not wanting to be Hack. You do it all the time.
I
But-
didn't even think about that.
Oh, one thing we haven't mentioned here. There was notice the burgers. That was a whole little story in the cold open that Shirley and Pierce were going to drive like 1,000 miles to get the best burgers in the Midwest.
You made the front page.
You know what this means?
We've gone mainstream.
Initiate Protocol Omega.
This collapse was shot like
It was amazing.
super early in the morning, and it was like I don't know if they had a second try at it.
We had like 2. I mean, everything. Like, there weren't a lot of takes on a lot of this stuff. There was so much to get.
We've started.
That was a great. We were shooting that, and that's a great thing about having the writers have a screen up in the room. And I remember you guys started texting me alts for jokes, and
yeah, we started
I think I
panicking
remember
about
you
that.
or Hillary threw that down, and we.
And of course, he's stealing a pink television.
Yes,
television.
absolutely.
Like
Without like a hesitation.
A 10-year-old pink television.
The
Out of a-
dust is still settling.
Like a 14-year-old girl's bag.
By the way, Ludwig did an amazing job with the music on this. Like, it really made
makes
the
it.
episode.
Yeah.
We had all the gin blossoms before, and that wasn't working at all.
I said on other episodes.
Really?
Arctic Monkeys. I said on other episodes, there's no other comedy to which sound is so important. But thank you, Ludwig and Mark Binder.